Hi guys, I'm back. Sarah Williams of Phoenix Rising, back for a refresh. We are on part 2 of the Marijuana Control Board meeting that started July 12th, 13th, and 14th in Fairbanks. And this is July 12th. This is just the morning. This is kind of the director's report. We had some discussion about regulations being too tight. Anyway, you can watch the other video. Let's devote this video to the rest of the meeting and the things that I've skipped over. So we then talked after the discussion about whether or not the regulations are being too tight. Springer said he wanted to see a requirement to print the regulations in book form. And Erica said, absolutely, that's exactly what we want to do too, but right now they're so fluid and they're so changing as we're trying to get a handle for this business and understand this industry and what it needs, that if we print them, they're a really big cost. And so we got to kind of stay up to date on them in our establishments. And so it's really important to have just a binder to refer back to. Just print them out, spend the money. Dude, I recently lost my binder and I need to get it back because I feel incomplete without it. But yeah, have a binder. And as they update, I will keep your teams updated and we'll change and we'll roll with it as we go with it. So then they gave arming authorization to Inspector Kesa, Michael Kesa. He's a former vet. He's a former law enforcement. He's just an upstanding individual. And he's really shown up well. And he answered the 2 questions. And Emmett came up with some really noble questions on this. He said, how would you define positive conflict resolution? And how is your relationship with licensees? And so I had heard positive things about him before, and then I was able to see him answer those questions, and so I believe he will be a good enforcement member of the AMCOS team to the best of his ability. And so he was approved to be armed, and so our AMCO enforcement then is now armed, which is, it's I don't know how I feel on that one. All right, so then we talked, let's step up now. Cool, super cool things. So high tide distributors. There was a situation with high tide distributors, and it's the PFD. So currently I'll step back for those that are just new to this journey. Currently, if you want to own a marijuana license in the state of Alaska, you have to be a recipient of the permanent fund dividend for the grace of oil money that comes out of our North Slope region, right? We have that PFD that's gifted to our residents of our state. People who have been here 2 years? I think it took me 2 years, roughly. I mean, by the time you have to be here a full calendar year, and there's just a calculation in which you got to qualify for this thing. And so that thing's been played back and forth like tennis lately. Are we going to take it? Are we going to seal it? Are we going to use it to pay our bills? Are we going to come up with different ways of how we're going to fix the problem? Just tennis back and forth. I'm kind of tired of it. I don't have any answers though. But that requirement to be able to receive that benefit, that $1,000, $2,000 you get in October as a economic boost, is that benefit tied to your ability to own and operate a marijuana establishment in the state of Alaska. You get to be the judge, but that is what our current system is that if you are approved for that PFD, then you can own and operate a marijuana establishment. So this gentleman, there's a PFD error in creating this residency question. There's a time when he was out of state. There's a time when he's in states. There's a time when it's out of the calculation. So there's an error. He doesn't qualify for his PFD. Can't prove it. Can't have a marijuana establishment. Can we change the residency requirements? Just thought. All right, so now we had some new marijuana handler permit courses, and this one excites me. Well, this first one doesn't surprise me, but first we have Emmett, of course, from every marijuana handler permit course approval. Brandon Emmett recuses himself as the president of the Alaska Marijuana Industry Association because they have a marijuana handler permit course that benefits the Handler Association, or the Marijuana Industry Association. And so he recused himself. So that brought us down to 4 board members, Springer, Miller, and Jones. Lauren Jones, that's right. And so then they went through and they looked at this one called budtenderexam.com. Mr. McLean, I didn't pull up the whole thing, so I don't know any details, but some of the comments that Mark Springer made was there was too much emphasis on the medical, using words like medication or patients. References to AS 1738 and 306 were not correct. Chapter 306, which is our regulations. And so what I saw and what I heard was really this thing you have to remember when you're dealing with Alaska is we don't have a medical market. We have even a regulation that says you can't represent curative or therapeutic effects in any of your advertising. And so when you're talking about educating marijuana handler permit holders, you're talking about educating on a rec market. Can't talk about medication. Can't talk about it as medicine. Now, we all know my feelings on that one. I'm absolutely a person that medicates with cannabis to live a better life. But in the stores, we can't talk about that. Can't talk about that. So that puts this course that really focused on patients and medication, things like that, just at a disadvantage. You could also tell then they were probably from out of state, in a state that had both a rec market and a medical market, and that didn't work out. So they were denied. Then a very exciting moment for me as a person who has seen this person grow over the past few years. I was very excited to see her have a win in life. It was super cool. So Tina Smith with CanaEd was approved. The full course, she came in strong, and this was absolutely the best presentation that I've seen of any one of the marijuana handler permit courses to date. She came in with a binded copies, like they were like white binding. It was beautiful. A beautiful presentation put together with thought, they were thick binders, cost, right? She had decided that it was that important for them to see this application in printed, it was amazing. And so she brought it in and she sat down, and then Mark Springer asked her two great questions. And it's one of the first times I've really heard them ask this question as they've traveled around how to ask questions about these courses. What's your background in training adults? And have you test driven the course? It was a really good question set, And then it was kind of like this game of tennis, because then Peter Millark said, well, you're missing a discussion of diversion. Well, then Tina would say, oh, it's chapter 4, right? And so it was great. And then Lauren Jones said, there's some questions some challenges in the questions. And so what's great is this allows that kind of proofreading element of it, right? But they approved it with delegation, fix those questions and on you go. And so I'm so proud of her to see her grow in such a way and to have such a good course, coming up for you guys. So then, and then Springer moved, and then we're on with that. So we've got, some operating plan amendments is what they had next. We had a situation in this one that I thought was really a unique situation for Alaska. And little did Mike Emmers know that he would be such an innovator to the way cannabis was accepted around the world that you live in, right? So Rosy Creek Farms is a beautiful farm. It's a beautiful farm that produces rows and rows of kale, strawberry, garlic scapes, super tasty, yummy foods for your families. Great farm. We need them in our life, right? Good farms. Well, he decided to farm might be hurting a little bit. So how about I grow pot, right? How about I grow cannabis? And he did. And he grew and he grew and he grew and he grew fields of them, dude. Fields. I have pictures. God, I hope I still have pictures. Fields of little starts. Auto flowering. Right? And he got through his first harvest. And it was rough. Had some notices of violations come his way for trying to figure out the tracking system. How do you work it with an outdoor culture? And and I've got this other farm to run too. And so it all just slowly come together. And here he sat. That was the last thing I had seen of him, were that. And then all of a sudden we have this new thing. Rosy Creek Farms is once again on the agenda. And he wants a licensed premise change to be able to allow his 2 kids, 10 years old, 13 years old, to be on the farm that they grew up on. Right? So currently, he's got his rows of strawberries, his rows of kale, his rows of everything. And then he's got some empty space that's kind of your walk-in space. But he's got high tunnel greenhouses on both sides. Right? And in those high tunnel greenhouses, some of them grow cannabis. Oh, and in maybe one field, some of that outdoor grows cannabis. And so, if they were, although put in a restricted access high tunnel, could the kids then walk in places that it wasn't there? Could they not touch the plants, right? Sorry, I keep looking at these big bags going, oh, I need to keep going. All right. So that was what happened. Or that's what was the discussion, right? Nothing was finalized, though. Needed to be a little bit more awareness, a little more maybe video, so they can see what I've seen, maybe. But they tabled it to September. And so now the kids technically can't work on the farm like they've always done for the harvest season. And now until AMCO makes up their decision on this one. Then we have a 45-minute discussion about root balls, about root masses. Thank you, Kyle Denton and Isidori. Root masses. So, he said something about harvesting 500 plants twice a week. Was that true? Did I just make that number up? I don't know. But root masses, can they be composted as part of the waste disposal? Right? And what do we do with them? Do we ground them up? What if we can't? What if we've got, cocoa? And what do we do with the roots? What do we do with the roots? I say, well, we'll talk about that in a second. So, of course, is it waste as it is? Right? Could you plant, this came up, could you plant the roots again and create more marijuana? No, not likely, right? So that came up. So let's see what else. You do in every one of your establishments, you have to give 3 days notice to the director in the event of waste disposal. Okay, so if you're going to dispose of your waste and get it out of metric, you have to let the director know 3 days in advance that you're going to take out the trash. Okay, so that's our current regulation. So then Mr. Denton asked a really good question. He said, can we project in advance waste disposal days? Sure. Yeah, you know what your harvest day is going to be on larger grows, and yeah. You could send an email and say we expect to take waste out on these days. And so then, that's kind of a schedule of waste disposal instead of having to email AMCO every time that you need to take out the trash. The plants, right? The plant trash. Okay.